This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
It's time for the WWE Podcast Mailbag on this Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to the Mailbag. If you're not familiar with this is the show that the listeners control. You guys send your emails and your voicemails, and I respond accordingly. So one big announcement on that front. Shortly, and this may happen in the next day or so, the Patreon ad-free feed is going to be available on Spotify. Now, what that means is those that are listening on Spotify right now, if you look up the WWE Podcast, there will be a separate feed called Ad Free, and you can listen through Spotify if you're a patron of the show. So, yes, it's a way to, of course, bring on new patrons, but also it should be a easier listening experience for those that are already patrons that maybe want to use Spotify to listen to the show. So, just wanted to let you know about that. But also ad-free everything on www.podcast.com by going VIP, and on Apple Podcasts, you can go ad-free there as well with the ad-free button, 1 week free trial. And there's also a 1 week free trial right now on Patreon, and I hope you guys take advantage of that. It's a 1 week, just any tier, and I'd like to welcome Michael Pope. Welcome to the WWE Podcast family, my friend. Hope you enjoy everything that's available to you. Hundreds and hundreds of episodes, plus the Discord server, which is a great way to connect with the other patrons during every live event or whenever you want. Middle of the night, if you just want to talk wrestling, maybe another fellow member will be up, but all right, let's go. We got a lot of emails to get through, and we'll try to do this in the hour. I'm trying to crunch this down to an hour, and let's see if we can do that. All right, let's get to our first message here, and this is, as always, patrons get priority. This is from Alex the French guy, and he says, "This may be the last time we see Edge in a WWE ring this Friday. I just wanted to say this is my favorite wrestler, and he helped me become the man that I am. He inspired me like some other superstars, but with a plus. We look nothing alike, but he is the reason with WWE I got my English to be better. Some good grades at school, or you said you got good grades and got admitted with those to your business school, and this time we will end it on his terms. Thank you, Edge. Not European champion tonight, but rated Alex. Peace, guys." Well, Alex, that is, this is the stuff, man, that I have to say we don't really talk about a lot on the show. It's a lot of just, reviews and playing in the sandboxes. I kind of refer to it, right? Like, it's not, nothing I talk about here on wrestling anyway is life-changing, typically, right? Most of what we talk about is for entertainment, although I believe and stand by everything I say, and it's not just for show, and I believe it truly. It's talking about just stuff that really doesn't matter in life. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like talking sports, talking baseball, talking NFL very shortly, all that stuff, which is, it's entertainment. But Alex, you bring a point up about some of these things can have a real effect on your life, and in a positive way. And if Edge had that effect on you, that's awesome. And if he helped your English get better, it's too bad he didn't also inspire Shinsuke and Asuka, right? It's too bad they weren't inspired by Edge to also improve their English, to really improve their careers. But that's a pretty cool thing. And, I don't think, I don't know if Edge has any idea of the effect he's had on people's lives. Things like that, I think that would, impact him. That's the stuff that you never know how you impact anybody. You really don't. And so that's pretty cool. Not to harp on it too much, but I hope it's not his last time in the ring. I have to admit, if it is his final time in the ring, I understand it's Toronto. I understand it's Sheamus. They're good friends. I'm sorry, it's a very flat ending. If that's how he wants to truly go out and he actually wants to do that, fine. He goes out on his terms. That's the whole point of his comeback, is to end this on his terms. But also, you can't tell me that he's not looking at this going, well, WrestleMania 40 is on the horizon. I take months off at a time anyway to heal my body and make sure I'm prepared. Why not? Why not be ready for WrestleMania 40? I am still of the belief this is not his swan song. There's just no way. Number one, they didn't promote it. Wouldn't WWE want to promote this as his final match? You know, milk the hell out of it, get ratings out of it. You can't tell me that this is his final match. And Edge never said it was. Edge never said it was. He inferred that he wanted to face Sheamus. He's never faced him before in his hometown. And people took Edge's trainer, who had a comment, this could be his final match. Sure, anybody's match could be their final match. I mean, you never know, right? But I hope it's not, because, and I don't believe it is, because number one, he didn't announce it as such. WWE is not promoting it as such. That would be a massive missed opportunity from a marketing perspective. And also WrestleMania 40, my friend. I mean, I just can't say that enough. I think someone's going to come out and attack him, and maybe he'll face them right away, and he'll have a couple of programs before WrestleMania, but perhaps somebody batters Edge so bad that Edge comes back towards WrestleMania season to face whoever that person is. And that's my suggestion. There's no way Edge is looking at this going, yeah, well, I'm cool with it. I'm just going to peter off into the sunset. WrestleMania 40 is on the horizon, but screw it. There's no way. If I was Edge, he ended it, at WrestleMania 27 or something against Alberto Del Rio with the World Heavyweight Championship. And you're telling me that he's just going to end it without a whimper against Sheamus? I don't see it. But anyway, cool. Thanks, Alex. Let's continue on. All right, another patron, Charlie Furman, and he says, "What's up, fellas and lady fellas? This is Charlie from Milwaukee. Matt, I'm going to the SmackDown in Milwaukee on October 27th. I would love to come on and do a week in review. Also, a question for everyone on the mailbag. What is one either SmackDown, Raw, or pay-per-view you had tickets to, but life got in the way, you ended up missing it? Mine was the Raw in Milwaukee when Stone Cold made Vince piss his pants. With Bang 316 gun, we came away with McMahon 316. Means I just pissed my pants. Okay, first of all, yeah, there is zero chance that I'm going to remember that you're attending this, so remind me as we get closer. I mean, I can't remember what's happening tomorrow, much less, 10 weeks away. So just remind me if I may or may not have somebody lined up at that point. But right now, obviously, it's so far away that it's open. But continue to remind me, Charlie. Also, that's a heck of a question. And I remember that segment very well. I remember Austin fumbled in that promo. I remember him like stumbling over his words when he never did. But he was wearing a camo outfit, and he had just been fired, but he's really not fired. And he ended up being rehired by Shane McMahon. We will eventually learn. And Austin was wheeling Vince around in a wheelchair because Undertaker had shattered his ankle. And then he eventually brought Vince to the ring and put a gun to his head that was just a toy gun. Imagine this happening on TV now. Oh my God. And then he eventually ended up stunning Vince a couple of times after Vince peed his pants. Yeah, I remember that very well. Very well. And he had like bows and arrows and stuff in the ring, like actual bows and arrows. Yeah, it was a fun Raw, and I do remember that very well. So what did I miss? And I don't remember why, but something got in the way. I missed an even more angering and bigger Raw than this. The Raw when Austin brought out the beer truck in Albany, New York. That was voted the number one Attitude Era moment that happened in my damn city, and I didn't go. And it was against the corporation. He gave the corporation a beer bath and brought out a Coors Light truck, I believe it was, and in one of the most famous segments ever. And then he faced Paul White before he was known as the Big Show. in a match with, I believe, Mankind as the referee that night in the main event. Hit Big Show or Paul White with several chair shots, eventually hit a stunner and beat Paul White. And I can't watch that Raw because I'm so angry about it. But that's a great question to pose to everybody else. All right, Charlie, thank you. Where am I at? We got some more emails here coming to you. Let's see. Let's go to DJ. DJ Kuzmo says, hello, AEW and WWE podcast world. It's DJ Kuzmo back at it again. Yes, yes, and yes. It's finally over. I'm talking about none other than Austin Theory's United States title reign. Long overdue. And finally, we can say goodbye to Austin Theory as champion and welcome the new United States champion and now two-time Grand Slam champion at the age of 48. That's crazy. Rey Mysterio. It seems like Rey's next opponent is going to be Grayson Waller, since Rey is going to be on Grayson's show this Friday. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing in the near future a Rey versus Santos Escobar match for the U.S. title. During the U.S. Invitational, Rey got injured during his match with Santos, and the ref had to call off the match, giving Santos the victory and the championship match against Theory. Then this past Friday, Santos gets attacked multiple times by Theory. He gets injured, and Rey comes in to replace Santos in the championship match. So that tells you, that Rey is, he was slated to win. They called an audible after he got a concussion in the match and had Santos win. Once they realized, hey, Rey's okay, they've been cleared, they decided to switch again to the original finish of having Rey win. So that's just, I don't know how else you can read it. Ain't it kind of odd that both scenarios of Rey and Santos involved an injury angle? I'm not sure if Rey was actually injured. He was, but he did hit the floor face first badly. I think it was a concussion or a suspected concussion. Injury angles seem to be very overused in pro wrestling nowadays, probably more than ever before, whether it's legit or a work. Speaking of injuries, now that KO is going to be away till Payback or after, and Sammy is wrestling with a weird-looking swollen elbow, what does WWE do with the booking of the tag team champions? And is Triple H still has not done anything yet with upgrading the men's tag titles to one of those new-looking belts? Yeah, I don't know why. That doesn't make sense to me, and I'm sure they would like to just be singular belts too. I'd find it kind of cumbersome to carry around two championships belts where one championship is represented, and I don't even like the look of those tag belts. So I'm all for them, redesigning the belt to a singular belt, given it's a singular championship. Call me crazy. But yeah, with KO out, I don't know what they do with the tag team championships. Probably ignore them until KO comes back. Hopefully if it's going to be a longer term injury, if he's going to be out for 3 to 6 months, they might just have Sammy lose the belt or have him relinquish it to another team or put it up for a tournament or something. But if it's a short term 1 to 2 month recovery, they'll just be able to fill in time and buy time until KO comes back, at which point they'll redefend them and find new opponents. But I have to say, in general, the tag team titles have dropped in value, and that's weird to say given that KO and Sammy have really been invaluable over the last 6 months, especially prior to WrestleMania. We obviously know what Sami Zayn did and Kevin Owens as well. So, hey, right now it's a back burner issue, and that's been here. But here's the thing. The issue of WWE putting tag titles on the back burner it's not a stranger to WWE. Like, that concept is not a new concept to WWE and management, because how often have we said over how many years I've been doing this podcast and probably through as long as you, DJ, and everyone else has been watching wrestling, have we said that the tag titles need more shine, they need more attention. It's a chronic issue. It's baked in to the fabric of WWE, where they just never make the tag titles priority, at least sustained. It may kind of be a flash in the pan scenario. Oh, it's main eventing Raw. It main evented WrestleMania this past year, but that's because it was in a very unique, just once in a generation storyline. But generally, the sustainability of tag titles in the main event is just never a thing in WWE. Never. So this is not anything new for WWE, especially when it comes to the women's tag belts, for God's sakes. Okay, where was I? So plus, where does this lead to the future of SmackDown's tag division? Pretty deadly, still out due to injury. And teams like Brawling Brutes, the New Look Street Profits, the LWO, a.k.a. Legado del Fantasma, the Good Brothers, and Hit Row are in a tag team limbo with no clear direction since there isn't a men's tag team championship on SmackDown. Lastly, I will mention this potential War Games match for this year's Survivor Series. You heard it here first. The Judgment Day of Mommy, Dirty Dom, Finn, Damien, and PJ, right? It's PJ, right, guys? PJ McDonough. Did I say that right? Yeah, I don't know. I just so I'm just gonna rename him to PJ. I've really angered some people. This versus the starting five of Raquel, Cody, Kevin, Sammy, and Seth. So I see that too. I mean, right now, if you were going to create a Survivor Series War Games match, this would clearly be a very viable, realistic match for that particular main event on the at Survivor Series. But how do you avoid in a match like that for a sustained period, Rhea not getting any retaliation from the men? I mean, they seemed, outside of Randy Orton, who just is immune to this, to give our RKOs to women. I don't know how you avoid that golden rule that men can't retaliate. Now, maybe they implant something in there that says Raquel and Rhea are the only ones who can touch each other. At the same time, there are no rules in this match, so that's the only kind of fly in the ointment is, how do you deal with the intergender part when WWE is clearly not going to allow the women to be retaliated on against the men? So that's the one weird part, how they would navigate that. But I like it. Yeah, well, you heard it here first. All right, DJ, we'll get to the Veer Mahan report shortly. And where are we? Let's talk to Ryan. Let's talk to Ryan. Ryan S. And he says, "Hey, Matt, Jimmy being out was brilliant on last week's SmackDown. It truly shows we still have places to go in this story. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. Could the real twist be that we actually are going to see Jimmy disappear for a while, and we are going to see more Roman Reigns at TVs causing havoc and possibly even having matches that aren't going to have the bloodline ties? I think this will be a perfect way to bring Jimmy back when we least expect it, and he'll be back with an army he's amassed of other Anoa'i family members. Then we will have a true civil war forming come Survivor Series, and an all-out civil war coming to its epic conclusion with the one who shall not be named overseeing it all at WrestleMania 40. So, Ryan, I have to say, I think the majority of fans are ready to move on from any kind of civil war. I think generally, and this is not just because I feel this way and a couple of my co-hosts feel this way, I just feel like I have a general feeling of the pulse of fans and how the masses feel. I don't think people would want to see any more civil war. I mean, who are you bringing in the Anoa'i family? Rikishi? You know, who are you bringing out? The Wild Samoans? I don't know how that would work. However, that said, I do think that, let's just call it what it is. I think that if you're going to bring The Rock back, that the table will be set with the Anoa'i family. The members of the family, the elders, if you will be brought into this story to set the table for The Rock's return, as they're kind of like the board of directors of the family, if you will. And I think that's how you're going to set the table for The Rock. I mean, that's how they were originally setting the table before The Rock told them last year he couldn't go because of his schedule, and the year before that, and the year before that. But that's how it was originally. Remember, like a month before WrestleMania, we were supposed to have some kind of like Anoa'i family celebration or family celebration, and that turned to just tribal court out of nowhere. that was because at that exact moment, we heard reports of The Rock not being able to go to WrestleMania. And that segment on Raw, bringing the family into it, the whole family, the NOI family, was supposed to set the table for The Rock's return. The Rock says he can't do it, and it changed to tribal court, if you remember that. So I think they'll use the same concept here. Why not? But as far as an all-out Civil War, we have a true Civil War, then an all-out Civil War. I think people are ready to move on and just see Roman Reigns with people that are not in the damn family outside of The Rock. I mean, we don't need to see Jimmy versus Roman. We've seen that. We don't need to see Jay versus Roman. We've already seen that twice. I think that it's just time outside of maybe, Solo. Whenever that happens, it's either The Rock or bust at this point. So that's just my personal feeling. Okay. Just when I thought they didn't have a big misstep at SummerSlam, the zoomed out picture looks clearer and clearer with each passing day. Damn you, wise man, you've done it again. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe it's because it's super late right now and my eyes are half closed. I'm not sure what you mean there. So somebody out there is probably saying something like, how do you know? I don't know what you're talking about. P.S. The gradual amount of bright yellow shirts in the crowd is giving me headaches in the absolute best of ways. Slow and steady, baby. Ryan, the American expat ufologist in Scotland. Very specific. So Ryan in Scotland. There you go. Those shirts. I think you're going to see it more and more and more. And LA Knight is on a rocket ship right now. It's so fun to watch. All right. Where are we going? Let's go to... I got to get a name here. The name is Cleve. I think it's Cleve. Or, yeah, I'll just call you Cleve for Cleveland. How's it going? Hope you're well. I'm a 50-year-old black man that has been listening to your podcast for a few years now. I'm from Baltimore, and my wrestling love started back when I was in 5th grade. We had a neighborhood wrestling league, and me and my buddy were the tag team champs, Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas. Oh, no, well, no, I know exactly who that is. Yeah, you go way back. I'm only like 11-ish years, almost 12 years younger than you. So I know exactly. Those out there that don't know who Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson are, I mean, please just YouTube it. It's they were a hell of a team. So you go way back. But anyway, I saw this clip and I thought you'd like it. I hear you talk a lot about the fact that the women these days can hit the men, but not vice versa. How do you think people respond if Rhea got this Lita treatment? Well, so, yeah, let me, I'm watching your clip right now, actually. And, yeah, I do remember exactly, what Lita took a beating. If you guys remember when the 2-man power trip happened with Triple H and Stone Cold in the early 2000s when Austin was heel, Lita got her ass beat, and it was to get heat, and it did get heat. Austin was beating up women to get heat, and it worked. He even stunned Molly Holly. He stunned Stacy Keibler. He stunned Mae Young. Remember that? He stunned Stephanie McMahon at least once. Linda McMahon. Yeah, we should go through a list of like women that Austin has stunned. It's quite hilarious. And Chyna, there's another one. I mean, there's like 6 women right there. But Lita got her ass beat with a chair by Austin and Triple H. But yeah, I don't think, and you're the first person to even bring it up to me. Everyone's kind of like it's like a taboo topic. No one wants to touch it for fear of being like canceled or some whatever. I just think it's just preposterous. It's wrestling, man. You know, and I think it makes the men wrestlers look weak, and it creates really a sense of, just kind of takes me out of the moment, man. You know, like, I don't care who you're getting beat up by, you know, if it's just self-defense. I'm not advocating for the even in pro wrestling for the men to just start wailing the women with steel chairs. I'm just advocating for basic self-defense, you know, and you don't have the respect for yourself to just have self-defense. You just curl in the fetal position and take shots. I mean, come on. You know, it's, but given everything, given the culture. It's the culture, guys. It's 2023. It's a different world that we live in now, and I think that's the reason why it's a PG product. And I'll just leave it there. I won't get into the other issues that are causing this, but to your point there, Cleveland, or Cleve, I'm not sure how you want to be referenced. I'll just call you Cleveland. Thank you for listening, number one. And I really do appreciate it. And, I do have to say that Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson, if you guys haven't taken a look, as I said at the beginning of this, you really should. Rocky Johnson, obviously the father of The Rock, not nearly as successful as The Rock, but you can see The Rock in Rocky Johnson. I mean, you can see the resemblance there. And of course, Tony Atlas, who never really gets talked about a lot on the show, but they had a heck of a run. So, hey, good stuff. Thanks so much, Cleveland. And you're not that old. Trust me. I thought, look, I'm coming up on 40. And when I was like 18, 19, 20, I'm like, oh my God, 40 is like, you might as well just be in a nursing home or in assisted living. And here I am coming up on 40, and I feel like I'm still 25. I don't know if it's a dude thing or whatnot. I'm sure the women out there, the few that listen, I think we have like a 20% female audience, by the way. But for the few that do listen, could probably vouch for this. Men, our bodies may age, but our minds freeze at a certain age. And I've kind of, for myself, narrowed that down to like my mid-20s. Now, we know how to fake it like our mind is synced with our body's age. But inside, and you guys know I'm telling the truth, the men out there, your mind just kind of freezes in nearly all aspects of maturity at like mid-20s. Some of us even earlier than that, right? Some of us have frozen at 18, 19, 20, which can get us in a lot of trouble. But nonetheless, so that I'll just leave it there. Maybe that's a talk for an After Dark episode on Patreon or something. Certainly I'm teetering on non-PG content here. But thank you so much, Cleveland. Thanks for writing in. All right. Where are we going? Let's talk to Matt. No, that's me. No, it is Matt. Okay. I thought, your name is Matt. I'm sorry. Matt from Melbourne. Okay. Boy. Let's go. What do you want to talk about? Sorry. Let me try again. Let me holler at you for a second, playa. There you go. A little Teddy Long for you. First, I want to take my time to express my appreciation to you and the team for your efforts with the podcast. You're continuing to create new content at a regular basis that we can almost set our watches to. I understand you guys all have lives and commitments outside the podcast, and don't sell yourselves short for a minute. It's an amazing feat to be able to do what you do on top of your everyday lives. Between my work and my family life, I can barely find the time to send an email to the mailbag. So hats off and a round of applause to you all. I appreciate that. I do have to say, I don't feel like I'm any more special or put in any more effort than a lot of other content creators out there. It really comes down to just discipline. And it's so easy. I'm with you. Like, it's so easy to find time to do things. We all have the same amount of time during the day, right? But at the end of the day, when you come home and you're like, F this, I don't want to do anything. I just want to just lay here and watch Netflix. I want to watch The Office. I want to watch, whatever trendy series is out there right now. The Office is obviously like 15 years ago, but that's my point is, whatever you want to do at the end of the day to just chill and zone your mind out, you have to just discipline yourself to go, I got to do this, right? Like, it's just a discipline thing, and it's not easy. There are days I come to this microphone, I have to say, and like, I love wrestling. I like you. I love you guys. I don't just like you guys, but I'm in love with you guys. Creepy, right? But my point is that it's not always easy getting here. And there are times I literally have to drag myself to this microphone. And it's not that I don't want to be here, but my body's just like, I'm done. Right. And then I have 2 kids and of course our co-hosts that have their own lives. I'm not trying to put us over. I'm trying to just put content creators in general over, because it's so easy to hit the play button, but a lot of people don't know what went behind all of that work, all the work to create that play button for you to just hit and enjoy, right? So when you start creating content, you start realizing very quickly it is a labor of love before you get any money out of it. It's a labor of love for years for most people. So anyway, it's not putting, and I really do. I love my team. I love our listeners. I really do. But yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up, to just put over all content creators for the work. And just some people just don't realize what goes into it, especially video editing. My God. All right. I've got a bunch of random things to touch on. The other week on Raw, as Shayna Baszler got the win over Zoe Stark, Becky Lynch did her best Triple H impression with the lemonade she's been sipping throughout the match. This was awesome. I got a good laugh out of it. Wade Barrett's cheeky line after it, Becky Lynch playing the game, was a nice touch. Yeah, I saw that. And then she's got lemon shirts. So she's trying to like monetize it. I don't know. Becky Lynch is she's kind of in a weird spot right now. I mean, Becky Lynch is in a weird spot when the biggest talking point right now on her career is that she spit lemonade like Triple H. Like, what's going on? It's weird. I know she's working with Trish, and no disrespect to Trish, but it feels like Becky Lynch is just she's just doing things, and I don't know where she's at. I want her to face Rhea Ripley. They're clearly waiting for that for God knows what. But yeah, that was a good line by Barrett. After hearing Anthony DeMarco's rant on his opinion of Cody, I can say I completely agree with it, but the one person who pisses me off more than Cody is Seth. This guy is supposed to be the face of the company, and he comes down to the ring like a damn child, pretending to be an airplane, wearing the most absurd outfits I've ever seen, and makes a complete mockery of what it is to be World Heavyweight Champion. Not to mention his oversaturation has completely devalued the belt, in my opinion. I get his stupid gimmick probably appeals to the PG demo, but surely a number of us who grew up in the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression eras find this hard to stomach. I also can't buy into Cody and Seth's babyface characters, their facial expressions, dialogues, and just the way they handle themselves just screams heel. They just give off these wolf in sheep's clothing vibes. All right. Well, before we get to your final thought or two here, let me just comment. Yeah, this is why I really believe Cody is going to be an amazing heel when he gets there. The majority of the audience isn't ready. They are the two top baby faces truly competing with one another on a real level to be that top baby face on Raw. You can try to talk sense with facts and logic to people of why they shouldn't like Seth and Cody. It's going to fall on deaf ears though. And I've kind of come to that realization. I've had an epiphany myself, and Anthony had some great points and really made me start to turn on Cody more than I was at the time. But it just ultimately is falling on deaf ears. If we think we're going to convince someone that loves Cody or loves Seth, and we bring all these points to them and say, look, this is ridiculous because of X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, it's just gonna go right over the head, and they're gonna say, yeah, but he's still cool. Like they'll still, in their minds, it's not gonna change anything. Like they're just gonna go, I don't know, but he's so good on the mic, he's so charismatic. It's so there's no, I don't know if anyone has ever convinced anyone to not like somebody just by talking about facts and logic to them with pro wrestling. It doesn't happen, right? But it's still fun to express why you don't like a certain character. I'm with you on Seth to the point where he feels like he's too happy-go-lucky all the time. He is overexposed. He is absolutely overexposed to the point where it's starting to be a diminishing returns now. And he's not serious enough for me. I don't mind that he's happy-go-lucky as a baseline, but outside of the Finn Balor sit-down promo that he had and maybe a Matt Riddle exchange, remember that infamous Matt Riddle exchange where they had their interview? There's very few moments when Seth's character has been serious. But when he has been serious, he's infinitely better. It kind of reminds me of John Cena in a way, where the jokey John Cena, the one that tried to do comedy, is awful. It's when John Cena tries to be funny and he's not taking things seriously, he's insufferable. Even at this age, he's insufferable. But when he gets serious and down to business and shellacks somebody in a promo, he's at his best. And I think it's the same thing with Seth. He's a babyface that jokes around a lot. He's overexposed. I hate the way they're treating the world title if anyone gets an opportunity. I hate that to its core, that philosophy is baked into the WWE babyface logic. I can't stand it. I wish I could sit down with somebody in WWE and just rip that logic to shreds, and then they see the light here, but they won't. That said, I think Seth could do a little bit more tweaking to the serious part of it and stop with the everybody's singing my song, and he stands there like, he's being nailed to a cross with his arms out, right? And everyone serenades him with his song. I'm starting to really resent the song. Yeah, and the whole Cody thing, man, I could go on a whole dissertation about that, where, Cody is very produced. He's always very self-aware. I brought this up, and Anthony did a great job of just completely dismantling the babyface Cody Rhodes character. It's not that we ever want Cody fired. He just seems to be a little miscast from what we like. Again, what we like, not what everyone else should. But when I hear Cody talk, or when he's ever on camera at all, it's like he's picturing himself in his mind of how he looks. He's just too calculated with everything. He's too... I hate the word manufactured, doesn't capture it correctly, but it's the closest I can think of. It's like you're just constantly self-aware of what you think you look like on camera. So you're always just thinking about yourself, of what you look like in a third person if you were looking at yourself with every second of the day. And it comes across, because then when you're talking, it doesn't seem like you're talking to us. You're performing to think about making sure that you're looking good or saying the right thing at the right time, looking at the right camera. I don't know how to capture what I'm saying here, but I hope you guys can. But yeah. Anyway, I could go on a many minute rant about this. I'll stop and continue. On the subject of Cody's finisher changing his finish, thinking back to the swinging neckbreaker that Luther Reigns, yes, you remember him. Oh, how'd you know I was going to say I don't remember him, but now I think I do. That was 2004 on SmackDown, you said. That was a savage finisher that looked like it was literally a neckbreaker, and it was blatantly obvious who was copying the impact. Could even be called modified Crossroads. I'll have to take a look at this. I gotta YouTube it. Luther Reigns. Oh my God. I have not heard that since 2004. All right. Moving to last week's email on wrestlers keeping their eyes open during near falls to ensure a kick out. I have noticed that since I jumped back on the WWE bandwagon this year. I don't recall it from back in the day, but it may just be there are a lot more close-up angles right now. Camera angles. Yeah, that's what it is. And also, improved camera quality. You can see every little detail now, right? Everything's Ultra HD, 4K. I think that's been good and bad. Jimmy Uso, I have found to be the worst for it. I'm not sure if you've ever noticed, but when a wrestler keeps their eyes closed for a 2 7/8 count, the referee will often slow down their arm coming down to the 3 to allow the wrestler time to kick out. That gives me the irrits. I'm not sure what that means. Just as much as the eyes open. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Anyway, I lost it. But anyway, that'll do it for this week. Just remember, West Side is the best side. Well, Matt, I have noticed that the referee does slow himself down or herself down. That doesn't bother me as much. I actually prefer a slower paced count. When you look at the referee today, even when there's a finish and you get the 3 count, somebody should hit a timer from the very moment you get the 1. How many seconds actually pass to the 3? I would venture to guess it is not 3 seconds. It's about 2 and something. The count is so fast today. I really think that the pacing of the 1, 2, 3 from the hand hitting the mat is too fast. I really do. I don't need it in slow motion, but it's I think this is the right pace. If you can hear this on the mic here, I think it's 1, 2, 3. That's not 3 seconds. It's like 2 total. I may hit 3 times, but each time I hit is not a second interval. It's too fast. And I think every little microsecond is magnified in those 3 seconds. So even though you may like, it's close enough. No, because everyone is aware of how fast 3 seconds goes. So to speed up the 3 seconds doesn't do it any favors. I think slowing down is better. But anyway, thanks, Matt. All right, where am I at here? Let's go. This is, I don't have a name. I'm not sure who this is, actually. But this person says they have a Wyatt theory. Bad fish? I think I know who this is, but I want to, not really sure. All right. Anyway, this person says, hey, everybody, hope all is well. I was listening to your weekend review, and I thought of something during the Karrion Kross conversation. I always thought it was weird how they brought both him and Dexter Lumis in around the same time period, yet didn't really go past one program with either star. My theory is that they were supposed to be in the Wyatt 6 faction, but due to Bray's unfortunate circumstances that never played out, it makes sense to me because after the Wyatt story died, their careers had no direction at all. Anyway, I've read reports that Karrion is starting a faction of his own now with his disciples. What does everyone think? Well, I suggested that, actually, and I said Austin Theory should be a part of it. I have no problem with Dexter Lumis wants to be a part of it. I saw those reports after I had suggested it, and I'm not saying I'm psychic or that I read the reports and pretended that it was my idea. I didn't. I said it, and I go, you know what? Okay, either someone's listening or it's a happy coincidence. It's probably a happy coincidence. But I think Karrion Kross could be an excellent faction leader. Absolutely. And I don't know where the hell Bray Wyatt is, man. I don't know. I mean, we've heard so many different reports. It's his mental health. It's this, it's that. It's COVID. It's, it's a nagging injury. I don't know what it is at this point. But the fact that when Bray Wyatt returned, we've seen one match, and the match that really did nothing to elevate him and did everything for LA Knight is not a good start to his WWE return. And then his character was all over the place. We don't know who and what Uncle Howdy was supposed to be, who the identity is, that we didn't care who the identity was. The match he had with LA Knight was god-awful. Just so many inconsistencies in the character. Direction was all over. I agree, he's intriguing. I totally think, and I'm not trying to divert to a Bray Wyatt, commentary here, but since we haven't talked about him in a while, I think that him returning would be a massive deal. I mean, he's been gone for feels like 6 months. And maybe it has been 6 months. I think February. So I agree. I think he's intriguing as hell. His promos are they draw you in. That's a difficult quality to teach if you can teach it at all. And I think Bray Wyatt is an asset, a big asset, but he has yet to prove that he can have a great match in the ring. His character direction is, and is proven to be, directionless, where it's just you don't know who's going where, what the catch is supposed to be. You're supposed to dissect everything, look through it like it's the Da Vinci Code, and I'm just like, I remember throwing my hands up. I go, okay, don't tell me what time it is, or don't tell me how to make the watch, just tell me what time it is, right? So anyway, we'll see. I think we have not seen the last of Bray Wyatt. All right, where are we at? This is, let's see, where are we going here? We're going to Nick. It's his first time writing in. He says, I'm a fairly new wrestling fan. I've just been watching in earnest since late April of this year, so there's a lot of WWE history I've missed. When I heard on Monday night that Becky and Trish were going to have a steel cage match, I leapt out of my seat because I've never seen one outside of old clips. So I have a question for you. Is there anything from WWE's history that that you wish they would bring back? I hear a lot of people talk about dog collar matches, which sounds bizarre. I also remember there was some match recently on NXT where they didn't have any ropes and it felt more like a real wrestling match. I think it was called NXT Underground. Is there anything else that has been lost to time that should be brought back? Oh, man. Okay. This could be a very long response. I'll keep it short. Iron Man matches. What Iron Man matches are truly is traditionally it's a 60-minute, yes, 60-minute match where the one at the end of 60 minutes that has the most pinfalls or submissions or decisions, if maybe somebody gets DQ'd and that's a point for your opponent, wins. And I think maybe the last 60-minute Iron Man match in WWE was Kurt Angle against Brock Lesnar, I think. And before that might have been The Rock against Triple H at Judgment Day 2000 when The Undertaker returned as the American Badass. I don't even know the last true 60-minute Iron Man match was, but I miss that. I also miss, what do I miss? I miss Hell in a Cell being used as a true Hell in a Cell when it's deserving. Triple H, I think, has changed that, where Hell in a Cell was built into the schedule, and it really devalued what that match stipulation meant because it was just built in instead of having the programs decide when that stipulation was warranted. But I think that's changing. Some people are screaming, "Oh, the Inferno match." Nah, the Inferno match, I think, is. I mean, without Kane and Undertaker there, I think the Inferno match is high risk because it's fire surrounding the ring, actual fire. It's a high risk of injury, and we don't need that. Yeah, that's a good question. Last Man Standing hasn't happened in a while. I don't like dog. I don't know what I'm saying. Dog. It's dog collar matches. I'm not a big fan. Yeah, so that is those are just a couple, but yeah, I would say the steel cage. Let me just say this. So if you haven't witnessed a steel cage match before, the intent from Adam Pearce when he made that match is to keep people out of interfering between Trish and Becky. I will tell you this. If someone doesn't interfere in that match, I will stop doing this podcast, because steel cage matches, just in their history, in the last 20 years anyway, have proven to be 0% effective in keeping people out. Why? They can walk through the door. They can go over the top. End of story. Or they can just reach through the ring or reach through the metal mesh. There's ways to do that. So don't buy into that, okay? But steel cage matches can be fun. They don't happen very often, and I think you'll enjoy it. So, but boy, have you got a lot to catch up on, my friend. So much. All right. Let's get to Rebecca Stewart. That's, when I saw that name, I dated a girl in middle school with that name. So I saw that. I've seen this the last few times. I'm like, nah, that can't be her, right? There's just no way. So, and maybe it is. I don't know. I would imagine no, it's not a very uncommon name. But somebody I dated actually in 9th grade. So middle school, just going into high school. Anyway, that's, again, I'm teetering on After Dark episodes here. I will leave it at that. So Rebecca, let's go. So you say, just got to say, I feel vindicated. Early this summer, I sent you an email talking about how I felt that JD, is it a PJ, guys? It's not JD, it's PJ McDonough, would be a good match for Judgment Day when the tension between the factions started up. You agreed to some extent back then. I also researched and found out that Finn Balor trained JD that I thought was interesting. You were talking about Rhea. I have to say, I like what they're doing on NXT with her and Perez. It's fun, and she really wants to beat her down, and we kind of want her to, even though she won't, I'm sure. Matt, I need a friend riddle. Okay, before you go into that, yeah, Rhea and the Perez, Roxanne Perez, I'm not following that as closely as you are, and that's good that Rhea's doing something, instead of just being kind of a spokesperson for the Judgment Day. But yeah, so you should feel vindicated. And J.D. McDonough in Judgment Day, who is probably going to be an official member soon, is, I think, a nice fit. It also kind of keeps things fresh and helps grow new talent and build new stars. That's what the whole business is about. All right. So Matt, quote, I need a friend Riddle. That's exactly what he is. He's so needy, isn't he? And Drew as a team makes me giggle. I'm a little embarrassed to admit it entertains me. Also, I got into WWE because of my boyfriend, like the couple you had on your show recently, and I wonder honestly what I did with my life before I discovered wrestling. I love the chat. Keep up the good work. And then you sent us follow-up email about Perez from NXT, but Valkyrie? So not Perez, but Valkyrie. Okay, so correction, everybody. Not Perez, not Roxanne Perez, but Valkyrie from NXT. Gotcha. So there, correction has been done. So yeah, here's the thing. Riddle, he's always that kind of like little brother to everyone he teams with. He plays the same role of the beta male in every single tag team he's in, whether it's he was in a team briefly with Kevin and Sammy, obviously RK Bro with Randy Orton. He plays the same dynamic here with Drew. And I think they're trying to catch lightning in a bottle with Drew and Riddle. Maybe they're seeing how this plays out. If they can catch lightning in a bottle twice, like they did with Randy, I don't think it's going to work. I still think that Riddle is a kind of, I don't hate his character, but he is very needy, and he kind of does have a lot of traits that many of us in our real lives probably don't like, of that chatty friend that just doesn't shut the hell up. So he's not an inherently lovable character, but I understand why people like him. I get it. And if it makes you giggle, wonderful. But I don't think that Drew should be in a tag team, I have to say. Drew belongs as a single star, and he belongs as a heel right now. But that's my opinion. So cool. And I'm glad that your life now has meaning because you discovered wrestling. And I say that half-heartedly serious because, I think a lot of us, to some degree, it's not that we didn't have a purpose in life or, we're going to unalive ourselves before wrestling, but it does give you a sense of community, does it not? You know what I mean? Like, especially, if you have a podcast like this one and others, I have a lot of other wrestling podcasts I listen to too, that you can just count on to get their commentary and keep up with the things you're watching and get some other opinions and get you thinking about other things. And if you have a community like Patreon and Discord and other places you can go, or Twitter, or now as it's known, X, to chat about wrestling, it's just a fun thing to get involved with. And you don't see too many women getting involved with it. So welcome, Rebecca. All right. Let's go a couple more and then we'll be on to the voicemails. I'm trying to shorten this here. Mason. So Mason says, let me talk to you. So may I ask why you keep saying PJ McDonough instead of JD McDonough? Because it happened a lot on the Week in Review in the current state. So it started off, I just was saying it and I didn't know I was saying it. I don't know why. I don't know any PJs in my life. I really don't. You would think, he just knows a PJ, and that. No, I don't think I've never known a JD. So PJ, I honestly, I don't know. So I was saying it unknowingly, and I've been hammered by it from you guys on Twitter and on an email here and on Facebook. So I know it's JD, but here's the thing. My personality has a flaw where I know when it annoys people, when I say something, I will just double down on it. So I'm kind of teetering on, do I just adopt PJ to piss people off and have more people come out and get annoyed by it? There is that flaw in my character that I have that I'm wrestling with right now. I'll say JD for now and see how I feel. But all right. Second, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be taking over the Cora Jade report because I've been wanting to do a report of my own, but did not know who to report. But I figured this was a good starting point. So the Cora Jade report 2 weeks ago, after losing the kendo stick match to Dana Brooke, Cora Jade said she was done with NXT and she was leaving. She was not on this week's show and she's deleted her Twitter. after posting a black screen with a goodbye emoji. And lastly, this week's question for the listeners: who do you think should be the one to dethrone Roman? Good question. Thanks all and bye. Yeah, so I didn't see that with her taking her Twitter account and blacking it out and putting a goodbye emoji. However, I will say this is not a part of your Record Jade report, which I appreciate. Thank you. But Lacey Evans is reportedly and seemingly about to be done with WWE. So when that happens, we'll talk more about it. I just don't have the time right now. But if you haven't already seen, it does seem like we're going to say goodbye to Lacey Evans very soon, officially. Okay, let's get to Chandler. Let's see what Chandler's got to say. And he says, let me talk to you. Piper Niven's return in Raw was a surprise, but I've never seen a return get such a small pop or no pop at all. I don't know if she was injured or if they didn't have anything for her. I assume it's the latter. Yeah, it's probably the latter. I mean, they didn't have anything for her. I mean, it just seems like, yeah, you barely heard about it, right? I barely even talked about it, I don't think. While on the subject of Piper Niven, why in the world would anyone want the women's tag titles? I swear those things are cursed. Everyone who holds them gets injured or becomes irrelevant. Yeah, there's some kind of voodoo on those titles. Certainly. They just go into obscurity. If I was in the women's division, I'd rather be in the women's division as a singles competitor doing jobs every week than holding those women's tag titles. There's a lot of voodoo, bad juju with those belts. A lot. All right. Chad Gable is doing his best work of his career, and I hope they have something good for him after this program with Gunther, because he has shown lately he is actually a good wrestler and a decent promo. It's just hard to see because he's always doing comedy. Yeah, I mean, I think fans recognize he's always been really good in the ring. When that bell rings, all the comedy goes out the window because he is all business. And fans respect that. I think he could have a bit of a mini Daniel Bryan run. I think that lives in him if they ever were to get behind him. But sadly, given how they've treated him over the years, I think after Gunther beats him, which he will, I think he probably goes back to Otis. And I hope I'm wrong, because I think Chad deserves to be out of that and on a singles run, but I don't see it, just based on history. How in the world has Rhea had zero legitimate title defenses since WrestleMania? She put on a match of the night with Charlotte at Mania and hasn't done anything since. Yeah, look, and I know people are going to say, what about Natalya? What about Zelina Vega? That's why we are qualifying this by saying legitimate title defenses, i.e. someone that could actually threaten to take the belt off of Rhea, not the one-offs that have been happening for her. There's been no real program. It's unbelievable that she's had no real opponents since Mania. It's almost unthinkable. It's not even that. It's inexcusable. If the idea is to build new talent, sure, we may know that they're not going to beat Rhea, but like that's okay. We're okay with the star building process. You can't tell me you can't find a young woman on the roster that goes to just kind of a multi-month program. Ultimately, Rhea is going to retain, but that's fine, because coming out of that and getting a product out of that of a star in the making, hey, that's great, right? Instead, we've had her team with Dom, which is still great chemistry, been a mouthpiece for Judgment Day, which again is fine, but she's the women's world champion and she's had no real opponents since the beginning of April. It's inexcusable. There's just no other way about it. So, all right. I knew the second I saw Riddle and McIntyre interact, they were going to have a joke of a story, and they had a segment with the New Day. It just gave me no hope at all for McIntyre these next few weeks. I think, again, I do believe McIntyre's in transition. I think they have something big planned for him, and I still believe it's a heel turn. The Raw roster desperately needs a top heel. Desperately. They have Cody and they have Seth. Neither are turning heel anytime soon. So Drew is in a perfect spot to turn heel. But, all right. I'm going to assume the tag titles don't exist anymore. No PLE defenses since Night of Champions and barely any matches at all. Yeah, again, Kevin Owens being injured doesn't help. But also, as I mentioned earlier in the show, no one should be surprised when WWE doesn't consistently focus on the tag titles, whether it's men's or women's. That's just who they are as a wrestling company. That's been their history as long as I've been watching. So we shouldn't be surprised by it anymore. All right. Last point. I'm very curious what the end game is for WWE with putting the U.S. title on Rhea, but I guess we'll see. A lot to say this week. See you next time. The end game is giving Rhea another fun little quick run. I would not imagine it's a long one, but also more importantly, getting the belt the hell off of Theory, who I believe is going to team with Karrion Kross to form some kind of faction. And also the U.S. title was plummeting in value, and Austin Theory needs a hell of a reset. So it was more, I think, about getting the belt off of Theory than it was about putting the belt on Rhea. That's my take. Thanks, Chandler. And I believe it's our final email, so let's do it. This is from Thomas Franco in Montreal. Alrighty, let's go. Hey, Matt, hope all is well. With the Bloodline rumored to be off TV for the foreseeable future, which storyline do you think should take its place? The Bobby Lashley and Street Profits story seems interesting, but it's too early to tell how it'll go. I mean, that's fine. You know, I will say I don't think that it's going to completely go away, though. Roman Reigns is still, I think, going to hang around. I know that there were rumors that he's going to take a lot of time off. He could still come out and cut promos. Maybe he could hit a spear here and there. So, or Paul Heyman is in his place, you know, cutting promos. I think the U.S. title with Rhea could take its place. Why not? You know, I think that's a possibility. Or, hey, here's an idea. The women's title. I'm cool with that being a main event of the show. Why not give the women more of a platform? It seems like that women's title has gone by the wayside. I know Io Sky has won it and people are excited about it, but I think that could use a little bit of a more spotlight. I'm also wondering where Drew goes from here. The tag team with Riddle seems beneath him and more of a hold me over. Yeah, you know what? That's a great way to put it. It sounds disrespectful to Riddle, but this is just truth. The tag team with Riddle is beneath Drew. Totally agree. It just is. There were reports that Drew said in an interview that a heel turn would not make sense for him because of his commitments with WWE, promoting overseas, Make-A-Wish, similar to what Bianca and John Cena used for reasoning against turning heel. I think a heel Drew would work, but if he isn't going to beat Seth, I don't see a use for it. Well, I see. Here's the thing. The Make-A-Wish stuff, promotion, the curtain has been pulled back so much. Is there really anyone on this earth that still believes that, oh, there's such a mean guy on TV, they must be like that in person? Of course not. The kayfabe died decades ago. So you can still be a massive heel and be a great promo person for the company. You still could do it. Roman Reigns does it on a daily basis, and he's the top heel in the company outside of maybe Dom. So I don't buy that if Drew said that. But I don't also, okay, let's go with the logic that Drew turns heel but doesn't beat Seth. Fine. But you know what you get out of it? You may not get a new champion, but you get a couple things. Number one, you get a true threat to Seth Rollins' title. You get a guy that's not joking around, that may turn Seth more serious. You get probably multi-matches, 2 to 3 matches out of this that you know are going to be top quality. And you also have a newly turned heel in Drew that could work with a new set of guys that are baby faces. Really, it's a win-win. Just to say that, well, if he's not going to win the title, why turn him heel? We've had a lot of heel turns that don't result in ultimately a title victory. It's really about playing the long game here. So there's a lot more out of it. It's not championship or bust for that heel turn. There's a lot more out of that you can get than just, oh, well, if he doesn't win the title, then it's not worth it. I think there's a lot of byproduct positives. All right. Also, you can't wait for next week's Raw. That I'll be attending in person, where Gunther will be defending his Intercontinental title. I think you said that wrong. I think you meant Intercontinental heavyweight title against Chad Gable. I'm driving back from Quebec City Tuesday, so I'll be able to do the Raw Review Tuesday if that works best. I'll message you on Patreon to remind you. That's all for me. Take care. Keep up the great work. Okay, so Thomas, let me tell you something. I'm on vacation next week, and that means I'm not going to have my normal recording device. I'll have my computer, but I actually don't use my new computer. I still use my old piece of crap to actually do conversation recording. I'm using my MacBook Pro right now, but my piece of crap is a Windows computer, and I still use that to record, and I'm not going to be bringing that. So perhaps we'll have to figure out a separate... I think there's like something called Riverside. I'll have to look into that. People swear by Riverside for podcasters. If that's the case, remind me, because maybe we can work something out while I'm on vacation. I may be doing a podcast from the car, because my family's renting a house, and the kids will be sleeping. I'll have a whole family member sleeping, so I might have to do a podcast recording from the car. We'll figure out something bizarre, okay? I'll see what I can do, but still remind me. Yes, please remind me on Patreon. If we can't, then we'll figure out a separate time to talk. But all right, thanks, Thomas, and enjoy the show. Whew. All right, that's all the emails. I think we got through it. We got through it safely. We all survived. And I believe we do have a couple of voicemails. I don't think we have a ton, so let's just get to those right away.
Hello, WWE Podcast World. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record to live on a Wednesday morning on a kind of very rainy, dreary, cloudy Wednesday morning. But that's neither here or there. Before we get to the Veer Mahan Report, I got to give a shout out to all the Indian listeners, all of the passionate fans of the WWE from India. Yesterday on August 15th, as I'm recording this today, yesterday on August 15th was their independence. It was happening way back on August 15th, 1947. This was their partial independence from the British rule, but they became fully independent from the British rule on January 26, 1950. So I just had to drop a little knowledge for you little history nerds out there that want to do some fact checking and all that good stuff. But other than that, let's get to your favorite show to come in every single week on the Mailbag. And I'm talking about the Veer Mahan Report. Now, the Veer Mahan Report took place this past Monday night on Monday Night Raw, live from Winnipeg. But wait a minute. For the 7th straight week in a row, we have not seen the Indies share on Monday Night Raw. But here is a little thing that I just saw. This past Thursday, which was, I guess, a pre-recorded match before Monday Night Raw last week, the Indies share were in action against a tag team of Akira Tozawa and none other than, I guess, a guy by the name of Apollo Crews, who we haven't even seen in a long time. But other than that, we did get to see, or I got to see, I don't know if anybody else did, on WWE Main Event, which of course you can watch on, I believe it's on Hulu. It was a very quick match between the Indies share and a tag team of Akira Tozawa and Apollo Crews. The match, of course, ended, as always, with the Indies share doing their patented Doomsday move, where my guy Veer Mahan goes to the top rope and hits it with the patented elbow drop. And 1, 2, 3, he pins Akira Tozawa, and the Indies share continue to win. I don't want to see them again on WWE Main Event. I want to see them back on Monday Night Raw. Do you hear me, WWE? But other than that, as the ratings started to fall, I want to say, have an awesome week. Be kind to one another. This is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Be blessed, stay blessed, and peace.
All right, DJ. Very cool. And obviously, the holiday for India, I would have never known. And those Brits controlled a lot of the world, didn't they? Good thing we got rid of them. And I got a lot of people in the UK that will listen. But boy, you guys controlled a lot of the ground on Earth, didn't you? So we're all celebrating our independence from Britain, and I got a lot of Britain listeners. No disrespect, but hey, I mean, we just wanted to do our own thing, right? So. Okay, Indies share continue to be MIA except for Main Event, which most people don't watch, and that's why you're here, DJ, because you provide that insight to let us know that they, while not on TV for several weeks to now a couple months, they are still being utilized in dark matches, or really, I say dark matches, at all intents and purposes, Main Event's a big dark match event, but they're still at least getting in-ring time in front of a crowd. That's good. But I was really hopeful they were going to face Kevin and Sammy for the tag titles. Obviously, with Kevin injured, it can't happen right now. But I still have high hopes. I'm not worried. They're continuing to win, and then that's the important thing. They're winning. They're now getting a little more time on TV, even if it's a main event. So it's also ironic that show's called Main Event when none of those people are in the main event. Like, that show is kind of almost patronizing, is it not? All right. I mean, but what are you going to call it? Mid-card event? Lower card event? I mean, so, I don't know. Thanks, DJ. Let's get to our next one.
Alex, the French guy here, your current European champion. Been a while since I posted a voicemail. I just want to make a quick recap of what is happening right now on WWE. I predicted, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, that we entering a stale phase in WWE. That is absolutely normal, given the situation, the period of time. SummerSlam is over. Now we entering a phase of quote unquote no pay-per-view, no PLE. That is very interesting. So it's no surprise. There's no feud that is very interesting. The most interesting right now, I would say, is the Judgment Day one. I predict that Damien Priest in some point would cash in on Seth Rollins, and from there they will start and then win the championship. From there, they could start a feud between Finn Balor and Damien Priest, or they can do it the other way. They start the feud, then in between the feud, Damien Priest cash in, or something like this. And yeah, I really don't have any clue of what the WrestleMania card will be or the Royal Rumble card will be. Even the tag team champions, I have no hype whatsoever for Sami Zayn right now. AEW, fire. MJF also stated, I think in a video, that Tony Khan made him a rich man, predicting that he will not sign in WWE next year. And yeah, Christian Cage in AEW is absolutely savage. I love his promo. I think he roasted a little girl or something like this. He said, get her out of the building or something. Great stuff. That's all for me for this week. Bye, guys.
All right, thanks, Alex, for all that info. And as far as MJF goes, even if he said that, maybe he was referring to the fact that he has made me, or there's a difference between has made me and will make me, because he's made a lot of money already from Tony Khan. I mean, he's lined his pockets pretty damn well from Tony Khan already, so he's already been made a rich man. The thing is, I think that's what he meant. I don't think he said will make me, because I remember him saying, MJF, that is, last year, that he's not going to sign with any company prior to his contract expiring, because he knows that when his contract does expire and he becomes a free agent, he will be able to maximize his dollars rather than re-signing prior and then losing out on a potential offer from the opposing company, if that makes sense. So I haven't heard that he's re-signed. That would, to me, be major news. But you could be right. I'm going to take it the other way. As far as Sami Zayn goes, man, you think about a fall from grace. I mean, to say that, though, it's a fall from grace from where he was, being the hottest he's ever been and one of the hottest stars in the company over the last year, in the main event against Roman Reigns in Montreal at Elimination Chamber, an event that I would still recommend everyone go back and rewatch, particularly the main event. He just feels he's not getting a ton of mic time. He is in this kind of repetitive no man's land with Judgment Day. He takes people out, then gets beat up. His elbow's jacked up. Kevin Owens is injured. The tag titles are feeling a bit cold right now. He's in a weird spot. Sammy's in need of a bit of an injection of adrenaline into his character. I don't know if that's just maybe a few weeks away, a month away, or if it's just him getting more mic time, going a different direction. I'm not sure. But he right now seems to be in a bit of on a hamster wheel, spinning his wheels, if that makes sense. I'm with you. All right. Thanks, buddy. Let's get to our next one.
Hey, it's Kyle for Baltimore. So I wanted to talk about last night's SmackDown and talk about the fact that Ray is the new United States champion. Sure, they're going to have a feud between Ray and Escobar, but Kyle Black Theory is no longer champion because he had no steps for him to hold that title. So looking forward to that potential feud between Escobar and Ray at some point, maybe at Payback. So there's that. But Ray, they wanted to talk about and ask is about Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits and what do you think it's leading to with Bobby Lashley? Is it going to be Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns for the championship? Is that going to be something they're going to do heading into maybe Survivor Series or even the Royal Rumble? But what do you think about them teaming up with each other and think about the Street Profits now showing a serious side towards them? And do you think Bianca Belair should join up with them? And what do you think that's going to lead with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits? And what do you expect from this new group, from these three? I kind of like it. Whatever they're doing, I like it. That's a 2 cents from last night, but that's a just call it back.
So, Kyle, I expect them to feud with the Brawling Brutes for a while, mull around in that program for a month or two. And then maybe Bobby does move on to Roman, but if Roman is only competing every 3 pay-per-views or PLEs, it's difficult to make a case for Bobby because before you know it, you're going to be into WrestleMania season. I mean, for all intents and purposes, Roman Reigns, for how often he competes, is probably already in WrestleMania mode, right? Like, you know, it's August. He's like, well, I'm not going to compete again until Survivor Series. And by that time, we're already talking WrestleMania. So, you know, he's already focused on WrestleMania. I mean, it's just, given his schedule, it's just hilarious and also frustrating at the same time. But in all seriousness, Bobby Lashley and Roman needs to happen. I don't even care if it happens on SmackDown. I mean, they're not shy about doing title matches on SmackDown for any title. The respect of championships being, or the prestige of championships being only defended at PLEs or mostly at PLEs has gone by the wayside. So I could see Bobby Lashley facing Roman Reigns at a SmackDown in a big city. I think that's possible, yes. And the Street Profits right now, I'm not sure. I would imagine that right now they're heels, but when Bobby goes against Roman, if it happens, Bobby's automatically the babyface. So maybe they're just kind of a tweener. They're just seeing what the fans do and react, and they'll play it by ear. But that's kind of what I think. All right, let's continue.
Hey, man, it's Justin from Maryland. Just wanted to get my thoughts on a couple of topics. So first, I want to talk about Drew McIntyre. So I'm interested in this whole storyline with Riddle. It was definitely interesting how Riddle just kept cutting him off. I'm surprised you didn't talk about, like, in detail, like, this whole, like, storyline, but Riddle basically cut him off twice. They won the match, but then after, they got a challenge from the New Day, and then before Drew can even speak, Riddle basically cut him off again and accepted the challenge. So I'm hoping that we get this turn definitely before Payback, you know, so they can just have the match there. I'm definitely interested. It definitely feels right that he turns heel. I feel like he'll probably face Seth soon, because there aren't really many credible heels on Raw right now. So I feel like he should definitely turn heel. So I'm definitely interested in the I'm not interested in the New Day coming back, but just the match in general, like how it's gonna play out, and then hopefully Drew turns on him next week, if not the week after, so we can get a match at Payback. Next, I was definitely surprised that Rey Mysterio won the U.S. title. I get that everyone's saying it needs to get off the theory, you know, like as soon as possible, but I didn't expect Rey to win. I thought that they would like further that whole storyline with Santos getting hurt, and then they can do the match at Payback, but I guess they just really wanted to title off the theory. So I'm not sure like where they're gonna go with Rey. I guess he'll have like a little title reign, but do you think that he'll end up going up against Santos Escobar and then he'll take the title from him? Maybe like Santos can turn heel, like, oh yeah, you took my spot, something like that. But where do you think like this whole Rey title reign is gonna go? Because he definitely has to lose to a heel, unless he loses to Santos or LA Knight. But I don't know. Interested on your thoughts on this Rey on this Mysterio title reign coming up. Next I want to talk about Karrion Kross. So I was definitely surprised that he lost AJ Styles. I'm surprised that they're not pushing him as they should. He never wins like the blow off match to his program. I guess maybe they're trying to keep AJ Styles, relevant so he can challenge Roman. But it's just like disappointing that Karrion Kross isn't getting a right push. Like, he could be like a monster heel if they book him right, like him and Scarlett. I don't know if he needs like to be in a tag team or like a little faction, but it's just something about him. He just looks like he could just be like a world champion, but they just don't.
All right, Justin, good questions as always. And where are they going with Rey? Well, first of all, let me just say that's how badly they wanted the title off of Theory. On top of the fact that I still believe that they're going to put Theory and Kross together in a faction. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. But also, there's the factor of Rey Mysterio at 48 years old, having another run with the U.S. title. Kind of cool, right? Two-time Grand Slam champion, all that. But that's what I think. I mean, that's how badly and how quickly the U.S. title value was sinking after all the value that they put into it. But where does he go? Does he face Santos? Probably, but I don't want Santos to turn heel. He's a solid babyface. I don't think anyone wants to see that. So they could have a friendly professional matchup. No bad blood, but eventually Rey Mysterio is going to have to face an opponent that is going to cost him. And I was thinking Dom would come back and screw his dad, but he wouldn't do that against a babyface Santos, because then Santos would look like he didn't win the title legitimately, and you don't want that for a babyface. So when I take a look at the SmackDown roster, I mean, a couple of names that I can rattle off. Solo Sikoa. What about Solo Sikoa winning a title for the first time? I mean, that's a hell of a power duo already with Solo and Roman, and having Solo be U.S. champion while Roman is the proverbial ultimate champion, the undisputed champion, I think would make total sense. So I think Solo's a big threat to Rey Mysterio, if not the biggest threat on the entire roster. Outside of that, I mean, there's really not a whole lot. I mean, outside of a Austin Theory rematch, which I doubt will happen, or if it does, there's zero chance of Theory winning. There's really not a whole lot. We already did the whole Karrion Kross Rey Mysterio thing. So honestly, not Sheamus, Solo Sikoa, probably the one to be the biggest threat, and ultimately one that I think will beat Rey Mysterio for the U.S. title. Thanks so much, buddy. Let's get to our final one.
Hey, Matt, this is Randy from LA, and today I want to do something a little bit different. Instead of asking a question, I want to respond to some of your recent shows. If some of you, your listeners haven't been keeping up with your recent shows, I mean, there's been some absolute gold on these shows lately. First thing I want to respond to is whoever that individual was last week that talked about Botox and the veins or the wrinkles on Triple A's forehead. Oh my goodness, I went and Googled it after, and man, I can't sleep at night now. The Wrinkle Man keeps popping up in my nightmares. I mean, so good. That was absolutely funny. And then the other thing that I want to respond to from a recent show from a couple weeks ago has to do with Anthony DeMarco. If you guys didn't hear it, Anthony DeMarco gave one of the most epic rants about Cody Rhodes that I have ever heard. And so just want to throw that out there real quick.
I mean, like, that kind of stuff. He sucks. I'm sorry. He sucks. And I know that everyone loves him. I know that everyone bows at his altar. I'm sorry to cut you off. But it's just like, for me, personally, it's channel changing. If I know that, or if I get a sense that Brock isn't coming out, I just don't listen, because it's always the same garbage. It's just the same thing in his suit. His theme song pisses me off. His ring gear pisses me off. His bleach blonde hair pisses me off. His neck tattoo pisses me. Everything about him, aside from his in-ring work and promo ability, pisses me off. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness, such an epic rant. And then just a little Matt giggle at the end. So classic. But anyways, Can we have a maybe once a week when you have Anthony on the show? Can we just have maybe 5 minutes where Anthony just goes off about the things that he hates, or maybe just every week we can call it the Cody Rhodes segment where he just goes off about things he hates about Cody Rhodes. But anyways, so good. And then one more thing I want to respond to from that couple that you had earlier in the week. They were just entertaining. Love that couple. But here we go real quick.
100%. One moment. I just wanted to give a shout out to the man who had done the list of Roman Reigns' victories and how they ended and at what event that he had on a mailbag maybe like a couple months ago. That was amazing.
Oh, I remember. I don't know who that was. Off the top of my head, I read so many emails. So somebody out there, if you're listening, whoever you are, that gives us a list of the people.
I just want to say you're welcome.
Randy from LA, this is a first. I've never had anyone play back my own shows on my show. So congrats. I've never had anyone do that. I was actually at the beginning of the show, or at the beginning of your voicemail, the way you set up your talking points, the way you said, I wanted to just, say that I'm going to put away the questions this time, and I want to just comment on your latest shows. And when you said they've been absolute, and I was waiting for like a different word. The way that your tone was, I thought you were going to say, it was like, to use a PG version of it, have been absolute crap. Like the way that the tone was going, I was like, uh-oh, here comes an unhappy listener. But I appreciate that. And yeah, having different guests on and it's been a blast. I'm sad or I'm scared for you about your nightmares about Triple H's forehead wrinkles that are now going to haunt your dreams. And they are pretty scary. I have to say, Triple H does have the most defined wrinkles of all time on his forehead, and he's had that for quite a while. So if you want to Google it, viewer beware. But the Cody Rhodes rant, I've gotten more comments about that. I've gotten more comments about Anthony's rant on Cody Rhodes than anything else that I've put out over the last couple of weeks. So I don't know if that speaks to my lack of, being able to communicate effectively with you guys, or my opinions have bored you. But I have to say, like, that has been the most talked about point over the last couple of weeks, is the rant on Cody Rhodes from Anthony. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll have like an Anthony rant segment every week. The only thing with that is sometimes those are, if you set up a segment and tell people ahead of time, there's going to be a 5-minute rant every week, then it's not organic. I think some of the best rants that happen are just kind of ones that happen. If you build it into the schedule, sometimes, more often than not, they won't feel as natural, and they won't come across as well as the ones that just kind of happen out of nowhere, like an RKO. But no, I appreciate that. And his rants have been pretty good lately, and truly his hatred for the Cody Rhodes babyface character runs deep in his soul. No question. It's been great. And I appreciate you playing back my own audio on the show. That is a first. So thank you, Randy. Hope you're doing well. I do really appreciate it. I appreciate all the callers, all the emailers. You guys know what to do. If you want to go ad free, patreon.com/WWE podcast, WWEpodcast.com. You can go VIP there with all the ad free content. WWEpodcastshop.com if you want all of our gear for the show, all the logos, t-shirts, mugs, all that, you name it. And we're going to be on Spotify. If you want to be able to listen on Spotify as a patron, that link and that feed will be there for ad-free, but you have to be a patron to use Spotify for the ad-free feed, if that makes sense. The Patreon, it's a new feature, so if Patreon hasn't really connected it well behind the scenes, it may not show up immediately, but over the next, I'd say several days, it should be there for those Spotify listeners. So thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Again, I'm going on vacation starting Saturday. I'll be back probably midweek, Thursday-ish, the following week. So a week from today, I should be back. But I'll still be trying to pump out content for you guys. I'm not going to leave you high and dry. I will have an internet connection, but I'm also trying to enjoy my time. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Things may not be published exactly on time when they normally do. You're looking at your feed, refreshing, like, oh, where's the Raw review? Where's the weekend review? It's usually published by now. Where's the this or that? We pump out like 8 shows a week. So I'm just giving you a forewarning. I'll do the best I can and give you as much content as I can, but things may be timed a little awkward. But anyway, thanks so much, everybody, for listening. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you all next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.